Hello, this is David Austin with the BBC News. The incoming head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has announced her team of commissioners, a mix of the old guard and new faces. The Dutchman, Frans Timmermans, retains his place as Vice President, with overall responsibility for action on climate change. Margrethe Vestager of Denmark will be a Vice President, steering Europe into the digital age. Mrs. von der Leyen outlined their goals ahead.
This is the team that will shape the European way, build our partnership with the United States of America, although we have issues, but they are our closest allies. Define our relation with a more self-assertive China. Be a reliable neighbor, for example, to Africa. Stand up for our values and world-class standards.
Ursula von der Leyen's pick as Trade Commissioner is Phil Hogan of Ireland, who'll lead negotiations with Britain when it leaves the European Union. From Brussels, here's Kevin Connolly.
No previous European Commission has ever taken office in such challenging political circumstances. The UK is currently due to leave the EU the night before Ursula von der Leyen and her team take office. Mrs. von der Leyen spoke of what would happen if Brexit came to pass rather than when, but she stressed in any case she saw it not as an end but as the beginning of a new relationship. In a sign, though, that that relationship won't be easy to negotiate, she's appointed Phil Hogan, an Irish veteran of Brussels life, as Trade Commissioner. He's a robust critic of Brexit and will play a central role in future talks.
A Japanese government minister says the country could be forced to release radioactive water into the sea from the Fukushima nuclear power plant, which was destroyed in a tsunami 8 years ago. The contaminated water, more than 1 million tons, has been used to cool the melted reactors. It's currently being kept on site in giant tanks. The Kremlin has confirmed that an alleged high-level US spy named as Oleg Smolenkov did indeed work in the Russian presidential administration. From Moscow, Sarah Rainsford has this report.
When US media began reporting that the CIA had extracted an agent from Russia who'd been providing intelligence from inside the Kremlin, the media here quickly came up with a name: Oleg Smolenkov. The Kremlin has now dismissed talk of a spy rescue as pulp fiction. But its spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, has confirmed that Oleg Smolenkov did previously work in the presidential administration. He said that he'd been sacked several years ago, though he wouldn't say why, and underlined that he'd not occupied a senior Kremlin post. Reports in the United States have cited intelligence sources calling the supposed mole one of the CIA's most valuable assets.
World News from the BBC. Turkey has accused the US of holding up the implementation of an agreement to create a safe zone in northeastern Syria. The Turkish Foreign Minister, Mevlut Cavusoglu, said steps that the Americans had taken so far were only cosmetic. On Saturday, US and Turkish troops began joint patrols in a strip of Syrian territory running along Turkey's southern frontier. But there have been differences over the size of the buffer zone. The Italian government is submitting its policy programme to the Senate in a vote of confidence that could be tight. Senators from the right-wing party, the League, which has left the government, shouted traitor at the Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte. He remains in post as head of a new coalition between the populist Five Star Party and the centre-left Democratic Party. Suspected Islamist militants have killed 3 policemen in northern Burkina Faso. A group of officers was ambushed on Monday in Soum province, close to the border with Mali. 2 days earlier, 29 civilians were killed in 2 separate attacks in the northern Sanmatenga province. Regional heads of state are due in the capital, Ouagadougou, later this week for a meeting on increasing jihadi violence. A mother shot with her 2 children in the Dutch city of Dordrecht on Monday evening has died of her wounds. Police believe her estranged partner, a policeman, killed them before shooting himself. Anna Holligan reports from The Hague.
2 girls, aged 8 and 12, murdered. The killer believed to be their father, who's also suspected of shooting his 27-year-old partner. Forensic investigators in white suits could be seen combing the home, rubbish bins and street for clues. The possibility that the 35-year-old suspected gunman used his police weapon to kill his own family will form part of the investigation.
Anna Holligan reporting. BBC News.